Paul here says Tom rattled because they Scouser might leave Liverpool. Maybe you should get the local gangsters to threaten him like you did with Gerrard, is what Paul says here. They are facts. No gangster, bro. They are facts.
You don't know a man like that, Tom.
Games like this is where you can see the system works if the players put in the effort. Respects to Rack and Tom for giving United credit. It's absolutely. Listen, the one thing I've always praised about Pep systems and Klopp systems at their peak was how hard everybody worked. It wouldn't work. You could have all that ability without the hard work, it falls apart. And it's very good from United today. Thank you, Man United, from a Chelsea fan. Thank you very much for the super chat. I am loving the shit out of this result, is what Ray says here. Terry, show the Ryan handball. I did actually. Someone sent me a screenshot. I need to see the replay of it, but you can see in the still frame that there's an arm that's in the air that's in an unnatural position there from Ryan Gravenberch, and it hits it. So I'd like to see the replay. It's probably not, but I'd like to see
as well. Was that 2-2? Was it?
That was at 1-0 Man United. That was at 1-0 Man United, I think. I think what's interesting about, for me, when it comes to the penalty, I get why it was given. It is a penalty by the law. They've got to bring back the proximity. And I saw a lot of United fans, and I know that some of them love to be negative because it's the only way they get attention. But why is his arm up? Well, if you watch it, he tracks his run. And I'm telling you now, I want you to start running as hard as you can forward and then stop. See what your arms fucking do. They go up in the air. That's why it was all that's why he looked like a bit of a T-Rex, because he was trying to stop himself. And the maddest bit is, if McAllister gets slightly less of a touch or slightly more of a touch, it doesn't hit his hand, and no one says what the lick did was weird. Same as the Gravenberch one. Sometimes you see them on corners where players jump and then they try and twist or they turn and it accidentally hits their arm. I'm just never disappointed in the player when those accidents happen. I find it very strange.
McAllister's header was actually on target. It hit De Ligt's hand, which is a part of the body you cannot play the ball with. That's why it was a penalty. I get why you say you should bring up the proximity. And I agree with that. Because we had a penalty against Chelsea once.
See, no one disputed that. I get you're challenging me, but you're challenging me for something I haven't said. I am saying it's a penalty.
No, I'm saying because you said if he gets less of a touch or more of a touch, it changes it. But then if my mother had balls, would be my father.
No. You didn't listen. You didn't listen. I said if nobody would be slagging off the lip where his arm was if the ball didn't hit him. I'm talking about the Man United fans who are like, why is his arm in the air? Like idiots. His arm was in the air because he tried to stop and change direction. I'm saying that it wasn't like he didn't jump in the air like a starfish and then it hit him. You'd go, why the fuck did you do that, you idiot? Sometimes your arm goes in. You know when someone does a slide tackle and their arm goes in the air? Because it does when you make a slide tackle. It goes out to the side.
It just happens, right? It's not something you don't have control of your whole of your body every single second of.
It reminded me of remember when Pogba against West Ham and he just flinched and to protect his face? And he got given as a penalty.
But even that, I feel like take the ball in the face. When somebody changes direction, just watch football. Next time you're watching a game, people, just watch a defender every time he has to check and change direction. Watch where the arms go. They go anywhere from out to the side to above your head because you're changing direction and you need your arms for movement. What then happened is the ball just happened to hit his arm. It was a penalty. It was also going on target, I agree. However, I just think the close protocol rules got to come back in. Not because of today. I've been saying it for months. It's ridiculous. If it's accidental, for me, it shouldn't be handball unless there's a long time to see the ball. In my personal opinion.
I think they've done it like that because they're trying to take the judgment out of it. They would just want to say, if your hand's up, obviously they still got the judgment about natural position, but they're just trying to make it as black and white as possible. But I agree.
How's that not how's that an unnatural position when you're naturally stopping yourself? Like it don't make no sense.
That's the point. I know the Champions League, so the Champions League's even harsher. But I've seen some this season where the balls have been shot, it's hit someone's foot, ricocheted off two people, and then hit someone's arm that was out. It's like, hang on a minute. And their arm's only out because they're stopping and trying to stop banging into someone. And it's we all do that when we stop. It's just sometimes I feel like we overcomplicate rules in football. We all knew what handball was for 130 years. It was when somebody deliberately tried to save a shot or flick a ball around a corner. Thierry Henry. We all know what a deliberate handball is, right? What we saw today was, and we've seen, like, it's got better because I used to hate the ones that hit your hands by your side on corners. Those were the craziest ones. But there we go.
I mean, so the one thing is, Serie A, I think, has it the best is basically if you touch the ball in the box, it's a pen. It's very like cut and dry. It doesn't matter if you. And I think the one rule that should stick and should be in the Prem is like, even if it's accidental, if it touches your hand and you score a goal, then that should be disallowed. I think that's the only thing, because I agree with the proximity thing. If it's so close, like it takes me back to Liverpool winning a Champions League, to be honest. If your arm's that close to your body and someone kicks the ball at your arms, like, what are you supposed to do? And I do think that's where they need to have very clear, cut and dry, black and white decisions.
Well, I don't mind if it's that clear on everything. If it hits your hand accidentally or on purpose, it's just like in hockey, field hockey. If the ball touches your foot for any reason, it's like a foul to the other team. That can even be the team can play it against your foot on purpose to stop some pressure. So if you want to do that, I'm all for it. But we've overcomplicated it. I kind of
basketball, literally the same. You throw a ball, a kickball.
Boom. Great fight by United. They showed character. Very disappointed with the team. It's from Carl, by the way. He says, I think Zoboslai chasing Bruno would have changed the game. He had too much time. Maybe.
Was playing.
No, he was suspended. He wasn't even in the squad.
He was suspended.
Oh, okay. I was about to say.
Suspended? Has he got?
He picked 5 yellows.
Oh, okay. Cool. I thought it was sick.
There we go. Liverpool fan base are the most reasonable. Respect is what
depends if you catch us on a good day or a bad day.
Mo was right about the adrenaline. United, they run on it. I don't think today was adrenaline can't last for 90 minutes. Papa Priez changed his mind after watching that. About signing Trent. Hold that stink Paul, outplayed at home by United. I've already done these ones earlier, actually, so they've been done. Before the end, I just want to go to Mike before the end of the show. What did you make of today, mate?
First and foremost, United were outstanding, so I'm not taking anything away from them. Second, we're still 6 points clear with a game in hand, so I'm not going to throw my toys out the pram. This isn't like if anyone wants to overreact and say this is why we're not good enough, X, Y, Z. Like, what are we doing here? This is the biggest derby in England. Things can happen. Don't go thinking that all of a sudden everything's over. But I disagree with a lot of what some Liverpool fans have said about today, because I don't think that this was an overall team letdown. If you score 2 goals against Manchester United at home in this form, that should be enough. Simple as. You haven't scored a goal at Anfield in 5 years before this. 2 goals should be plenty. And ultimately, it's not even just about the goals. Every single chance that United had in this game, besides the Joshua Zirkzee to a Harry Maguire miss, which I believe was offside. I believe Zirkzee was offside in the run-up, but it doesn't even matter. That's the only one that came from that side of the pitch. Every single attacking move came down Trent's side until Trent came off the pitch. Then Connor Bradley was on the pitch. He wins 3 duels. All of a sudden, you stop going there. Okay, so ultimately, the first goal, what happens? Trent gets caught out. He recovers, and then he clears the ball directly into a Manchester United player. Something that he did against Arsenal, something that he did against Southampton, or any other team that we have seen this season. The second goal, Robertson is also at fault there, but it begins from that side of the pitch. The problem that I have with Trent, and some people will say that it's reactionary, is that he has had this performance every single game this season, except against Manchester City and Newcastle. The difference is that in other games, such as Arsenal, he was able to create a pass that led to a goal, i.e. Darwin Núñez to Mohamed Salah. The unlocking pass was from Trent. But outside of that one moment, Trent probably lost the ball 15 times and lost every single duel that he had. So the issue that I have with him is that the one X factor moment is covering over all of the cracks that you see. And not to mention the fact that when Konate was healthy, he was making up for every single Trent mistake. So Trent maybe would win a duel, but the cross would come and then Konate would block it. But it doesn't change the fact that everything was going down his side. I firmly believe that if Trent did not start this game and Connor Bradley was healthy, you would have had 80% less attacks in this game, because you would not have had that outlet ball. You would not have been able to do it time and time again. The Højlund chance that was the one-on-one, Trent was 8 yards off of the line. Robertson, Konate, and Virgil van Dijk were in a line. Trent was 8 yards ahead of them, holding Delo onside to then get the ball back to Højlund. The issue that I have is that 2 goals should be enough to win this game. We missed plenty of chances. So did Manchester United. But all of those chances came from one side of the pitch. And there was one player responsible for covering that side of the pitch. And every positive attribute that people try to make up for and cover him for, i.e. his X factor offensively, he was atrocious. And he's been this way all season, bar those 2 games, except for maybe a pass here or there. But I'm not gonna look at a player and say, because you made 1 pass this game, you were brilliant. You were shit and you made up for it. You went from a 3 to a 6 because you unlocked the defense in one moment. But it doesn't change the fact that this is who he is this season, the whole season. So to me, yes, as a team, we could have played better.
He's been like that the whole season,
which is fine. You can disagree, but to me personally, like everyone's idea of like he's better at defense this season. We're talking about someone being utter garbage to being just garbage. He's gone from a burning pile of garbage to just garbage.
He's not utter garbage.
He has been. Konate is our best center
You're
back
exaggerating.
and has covered him time and time again. I don't believe I am, because I watch every second of every single game. He only covers up for it.
That's crazy.
He only covers up for it.
Do you think he's just tapped out because of the situation with this contract? Like, in the sense of he's probably got his mindset on Real Madrid. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, by the way. I'm sure you'll say it's wrong because he's a Liverpool legend. Respectfully, he is, and he's a local. But do you think he's tapped out to the point where he's no longer applying himself outside and it's now become consistent over the period of time? Like, why do you think ultimately he's in this situation? And do you think it's legit that he should be dropped if he is underperforming?
He's been this way all season. And when he got hurt and Connor Bradley came in, what did we have? Like 5 straight clean sheets, even with Konate out. So, like, to be honest with you, I'm not going to look at Real Madrid and say his mind is in Madrid, because he's been this way all year. And you could even argue that he was this way last year. His GA over the last 2 seasons isn't even comparable to his prime. And we don't even play that kind of system anymore. We're not creating from fullbacks. This isn't Jurgen Klopp.
So one thing, though, Neji, what you said there, I think, and this is just when it comes to anybody in sports, I think he just doesn't need to change the way he plays. Like, he doesn't need to get better defensively because Liverpool's not going to drop him, and he knows Real Madrid want him. So if you already have, you're set in your team, and you also know the best team in the world is completely okay with how you play football, why would you change?
Well, put it this way. I'll say this because obviously, as United fans, we've seen our best players go, and we it's like shit off a shovel. Respectfully, it's like, okay, cool, you have to go. The only one time Fergie's ever begged, in my opinion, anyway, from what I know, is Ronaldo when he asked him to stay one more season before he goes. Other than that, every single player, whether you're a legend or not, the moment you say, I am not performing for this club, they go. And no one argues about it.
Really wanted to go to.
The reason I say
really wanted to go to Chelsea as well. Really wanted to go to Chelsea as well.
I'm not saying, bro. I'm not saying he didn't. I'm not saying he didn't. And if you think about it as well, when Rooney did want to go to Chelsea, that was just borderline when the Glazers were taking over. So there was a lot of discrepancy with where United were going at that time, and it didn't look like United were
investing in the squad.
Yes, for example. So slightly different. Rooney, in my opinion, was my favorite ever Man United player, but was he our best? No. Beckham, big fan favorite. Wanted to stay at United. Adios. Roy Keane, one of the best captains that probably ever to grace that in football football history. Forget the Premier League. Once there was a situation, you were gone. My point being, whatever. I'm not saying it's to debate. I'm not saying to debate. My point is, no matter the player at the club, no player is above the club. And once a player drops form or shows a level of disinterest, do you then not feel like you should have those standards and go, okay, Trent, you're not performing. You want to go to Madrid. We're not going to pay you this wage. You're also out the club and out the team. That then sets the precedent for the next people coming in, because players are going to leave, but your club will always remain. So the next players coming in to replace them be like, no, they have to put Liverpool first. That's just the standard, regardless if you're a legend. And I'll be honest, I think that's the reason why Manchester United and Fergie were so successful for a long period of time, because the sentiment was never bigger than the club. And I think a lot of big clubs struggle with that situation. That's just my opinion.
I think ultimately the only people who really know and really have the full amount of information are Trent and Slot and the people at the club. And ultimately you need to trust them to do the right thing, because I can speculate and say yes, he should be, frozen out of the team, or he should play himself into form, or whatever the case may be. But I'm looking at it from the outside, and I don't know the full details. We don't even know if what the situation with the Real Madrid is, whether he's just bargaining for a new contract, or he actually wants to go there. Seems like he wants to go there, but fair enough.
But from a performance standpoint, again, we look at Rashford at the situation. Ten Hag did it with Rashford. He dropped him when he was late, then brought him in against Wolves. 45 minutes, he kicked off. He ended up having a decent season that season. And I say decent, 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, whatever. We've done the same situation at the moment. Rashford again, Amorim, Garnacho. And I'm not saying Garnacho and Rashford are levels in comparison to our history, but they are favoured players. Let's say they're favoured players at United. They've been dropped. They are fan favourites. They've been dropped. Man United are not in the position to compete or challenge, yet still those standards are there, and we don't have an issue with it because we understand from the manager's perspective that you have to set a presence down. These are standards.
We haven't been able to drop him, though.
Do Liverpool need to do this with Trent?
We haven't. The issue is that we haven't. Like, Connor Bradley has been out, and now Joe Gomez is out, so we don't have another right back, or we didn't have another right back. And also Konate was out. So over the last 4 weeks, he has had to play because Konate was out. So Gomez, our only right back cover, because Bradley is out, has to play center back. Therefore, Trent must start week in, week out. But he's shown this kind of effort. Yeah. He's shown it all season. Literally the entire season, I have seen this, bar the 2 games, this style of effort. So this idea of Real Madrid calling XYZ, if he wants to go, then he should tell the club and the club should sell him. That's it. Doesn't matter, because there's no point in you staying here, especially if you go out against Nottingham Forest and do that, then 100%. Like it isn't even a doubt anymore, but we have to play him because we have not had cover. And I'm assuming that the only reason why he played 80 plus minutes today is because he saw Konate literally having cement bricks for feet because he hasn't played in however many weeks. And he's like, I don't think it's worth it to rush Connor Bradley and then potentially have 2 players get re-injured. And ultimately a draw is a draw. Like it's a point and we have the game in hand.
Yeah, he has to be smart and he has to use his mind, regardless of whether he's in form or not. I understand the situation. If you haven't got players to replace those players, Man United were in the same situation last season in Ten Hag when we had 66 injuries or whatever to the same players and different players. Even if we want players to be dropped, I always said to United fans, who are you playing? What's your starting 11? Rate him or not? And that went over deaf ears as well, I think, for most of the fan base because we were just so pissed and vexed. But the reality is, if you haven't got players that can replace certain players, fair enough. But hypothetically speaking, then, do you think as a standard moving forward that should be a case if you can replace him? So let's say Bradley was available. Do you think that should be?
Yes, I would be starting Bradley every week.
If Trent is not committed to Liverpool Football Club, just like any player, then me as a fan, I'm not committed to him, and we as a club should not be committed to him in the same way. Like if he wants to go and he's not willing to put the work in, then I'm sorry, then there's no point.
That should be Liverpool fans' answer to the question: should you accept the bid for him this year or this January or not? And I understand the argument of the 20 million quid. Is it going to hinder? If he isn't committed, then him staying is going to hinder you because that's being committed is a part of that mentality that's needed to get you to the very top. And I think it's one of the reasons that I don't like it, but I think it's one of the reasons why Ruben has ostracized Rashford from the first team. I think there is an element of disinterest from him, and maybe Rashford don't see it that way. I think Ruben does, and it's a case of there's no way you can put in a performance I need if your head ain't in the game. And look, we're all of a certain age on this panel. We've all had real jobs or got real jobs. We all know what dedication feels like. And you've all led people or been around people that don't want to be there. There is always a different level in performance, whether it's professional, education, or sport. And look, I want to thank